Hello everyone and welcome back to Cupid. Today we're going to be going into why Gildermine is possibly a demon or something. Jeez, I don't know. I just don't know right now. I'm shooketh. I'm a little shook. Because I kind of wanted to get more into the Catherine character, but I feel like we're going to get into her character more from a perspective of her not being there, which is also really cool, honestly. I'm actually excited for this. Rosa entered the room with a tray of pastries and a pot of tea. Her duties were finished and she was allowed a bit of free time. She thought of accompanying Catherine for piano lessons. Oh, so we're taking a jump back. We're gonna do a flashback now. Okay, this is gonna be a thing that's all over the place, and you don't really know what's gonna be going on or what time we're gonna be in. But it's happening. We're doing it. I also like this random art piece right here. I don't know why. It just the whole room is nice and light and blue and pretty, and then there's just this dark hole in the middle of the room. Okay, that's just weird. That's weird to me. I like it. She thought of accompanying Catherine for her piano lessons today. Kath, you want some tea? The girl didn't look her way. She continued to chum out the bitter melancholic sound from her piano. Rosa sighed, her shoulders slumped in defeat. She placed the food on the table. She sat on the stool beside the piano, twiddling her thumbs while her friend continued to stew in her foul mood. Is that a new composition? It sounds nice. Oh, excuse me. Nowadays, you make a new piece every day. It's a shame they're all so sad. Hey, music is expressive. Tell them how you feel and all that. Catherine didn't reply to that, but when she spoke again, her words were bitter. I saw them again, those degenerate louts. No shame at all, Kath. All right, consenting damn adults and all that. At least have the decency to close the door. Sometimes I dare say they want to get caught. When I walked in on them this morning, eating each other's faces, they had this look on them. Like they were daring me to say something. Exhibitionist? Coy. Do they want my applause? Very nice technique, sire. I very much like the way you swap your spit with my sister. Great tongue action. Oh. So the sister got married and this is her life now. Great. Tris, I'm not gonna say it. I'm not gonna say it. I'm not gonna make it. I'm not gonna say it. I'm not gonna offend anybody today. No. And he even has the gall to speak to me. Be a dear and put them on the table, Catherine, he even said. Like I'm a soft-hearted giggle mug of a maid. He wanted me to get annoyed, I just know it. Well, face chair. Oh God, I offended people all over the world again. I am. Catherine turned to the sea of pastries, stuffing the buttered bread into her mouth. Easy there. These damn things. These damn delicious things. And she said the last part angrily, as if she blamed her troubles on the food's relish. Rosa giggled in spite of herself. Catherine wiped her mouth in mock anger. What are you laughing at, wench? Ooh, that's a little harsh. It's almost comical to watch you eat when you're hungry, Kath. You're like the giant monsters that attack defenseless towns in horror books. Oh yes, Catherine made sad tiny squeals and picked up another piece of bread. Oh, okay. This is playful anger, okay? No, no, please spare us. She adjusted her voice and boomed out a roar. The Caffarian monster of the deep doesn't show mercy to anyone. This is funny. I like it. She dropped it in her mouth and chewed savagely. I love the character development, by the way. I love Catherine's character. She is aspiring. Yum! Annihilation is delicious with tea. Oh my god. That, I'm gonna take a picture of that because I want that to be the name of my video. Because that's great. The two girls giggled. Catherine's rare smile turned to a rueful laugh, and soon Rosa felt her mood turning somber again. What happened, anyway? Huh. Aren't you annoyed by it, too? Sister has changed ever since she started helping in the chateau. Now it's all, gilla me this and gilla me that. As if she wasn't already married. Ugh. And she doesn't even care that people are talking behind her back. They're calling her two-timing now. Sorry. I don't want to say it. I'm tired of Sorry. No. She probably said I'm tired of running around after her or something, I don't know. She hasn't even visited home for a long time. Father misses her a lot. He always asks about her. Father had worked so hard all these years to give us a comfortable life. Now he is sick, and all she cares about is that dastardly Marquise. Rosa shrugged. I'm a little bit annoyed, but I guess I've gotten used to it. Their lives are their own, Kath. She didn't dare divulge any more than to Catherine. She didn't dare divulge more than to Catherine, but it was partially true. I like Gilderman, he's a nice friend, but I love my sister. If they want to stay together, then why not fix this and have at it? But what irritates me to my damn snatch is the way they are with each other. Catherine recently found the use of explicitives endearing in her speech. Rosa hoped it was a phase. They're flippin' miserable. Any half-wit can see that. Yes. I told Emily time and time again to smarten up. She's hurting a lot of people, including herself. But, as if she would listen to a 16-year-old brat of a sister, Even Gilderman is depressed, I can tell. Remember when he used to come and visit me here to have tea? Or when he used to have picnics in the afternoon, we used to have picnics in the afternoon. We used to run around chasing rodents in the garden. Is that something people do in their spare time? You ran around? We just watched you get dirty, actually. That is very true, you nitheads. But then, it used to be fun visiting the chateau. Nowadays, we barely even see him. He just stays in the baroo all day, brooding. Is it something adults subject themselves to, like a torture ritual? I really don't understand why two people are clearly unhappy. Who are clearly unhappy keep at it. Rosa did understand. At least some part of her did. She couldn't exactly explain how pain and love work. Probably has something to do with her mother, because her mother is very painful. All she knew was that it had something to do with an absurd, obsessive amount of hope. She felt Mother tugging at her mind. She loved Mother so much. Living with the Parides gave her ample comparison to her former life. She had finally accepted that Mother was cruel, and yet Mother still gave her love and kept her from wanting. Was that crazy? Perhaps it was the only love she needed. No. Perhaps it was what she deserved. No. Rosa shook the thoughts off her mind and just shrugged. I know you are just worried about your sister, Kath, but they will figure it out. Humans learn. Look at you, all profound and shit. You read any good books lately? Just the riveting account of the Ugly Duckling and Baba Black Sheep. Ah, the classics. I didn't know how you put up with it. I don't know how you put up with it, though. I hate reading words. In order to write, I have to learn how to read first. I want to read. Why would you want to do a dastardly thing like writing? Why would you want to hit some crazy strings until your fingers bleed? The two friends laughed again. I want to remember things. I want to write them down. But most of all, I want to feel the way you do when you play the piano, Kath. Oh? The way you look when you play, you are passion and bliss in musical form. It feels like love and magic. You inspire me to do something fulfilling and grand. Well, I'm sure you will. Hey, why not write a play one day? Oh? Let's do it. You write an amazing play, and I shall provide the music. I love it. It's a lovely plan. We'll travel around the country and perform. We'll make lots and lots of money and gain lots of followers on our Instagrams. Sorry, I had to put that in there. But yeah, we'll gain lots of followers on Instagram. We shall be known as the Parade Caravan of Wonders. Parade? Are you sure? Puns are the best. Trust me. That sounds a damn batty, Kathy. Ugh. From this day forward, nobody is allowed to call me Kathy ever again. The sound of the knock interrupts our giggles. Catherine, it's me. I need to discuss something important with you. Frustrated, Catherine pounded at the sign of her sister's sound. She turned back to the piano and began to pound a sarcastically happy tune. I just love her character so much. She adds so much to the story when she's around. I love it. Rosa stood up to open the door. Hello, Rosa. Madame. She has seen little of the older Paride sister lately, and it astounded her how old she had begun to look. Her once radiant face looked tired and harrowed, almost crone-like. Under her eyes hung huge bags, and yet she still looked quite dignified, full of pride and pomp. There was extra rouge on her skin, and her demeanor was elegant. It was as if pride was her only source of nourishment these days. Do you mind giving Catherine and me a moment of privacy? Rosa gave a small bow. Of course not, madam. Rosa gathered her nursery books and squeezed Catherine's shoulder before stepping out of the room. Rosa entered the quiet room of the library. She was about to approach the table when she noticed Gildermead already occupying a seat. He was writing something in a book, somewhat immersed in the activity. Rosa stopped dead in her tracks. Leave now, while he is not looking, child. Just go in and ignore him, child. Why are you so nervous anyway? Just ignore him. He doesn't seem to notice you. Unfortunately, Gildermead lifted his head and saw her by the door. Oh, hello, Rosa. Rosa took a step back. Maybe it was best to walk away, as if it were a mistake. But wouldn't that be rude? He has already seen her, after all. She had never been alone with him. It was just too awkward. Well, why not just go in? It was going to be fine. They had conversed normally before. Yes, that was because Catherine had been around to disperse her awkwardness. Now I look like an idiot. Gildermead watched her pace in front of the door in amusement. Rosa decided to go in. She had already embarrassed herself enough anyway. There was a little left to lose. Besides, there was nowhere else to go in this big house. She had already gotten lost in its hallways, much to the annoyance of the maitre d'. The library was her favorite place. If she stayed quietly in one corner, Rosa was sure they wouldn't bother each other. She took a seat in the furthest corner of the house and opened her book. Oh no, he's actually standing up and walking over! No, you horrible man. You horrible man. What? Just sit over there, while I sit over here. But Gildermead was already beside her, peeking at what she was reading. A cold sweat spread on her scalp. Rosa, that book. Rosa began to chatter nervously. I know it's a children's book, sire. I'm teaching myself to read. I know most commoners don't really bother, but I want to learn. So please don't laugh or mock me. Gildermead pointed at the book. It's just upside down. Rosa stared at it. The ducks in the picture had their feet in the air. Rosa squirmed, feeling the heat on her cheeks, and she couldn't think of anything more embarrassing. I'm sorry. Gildermead's face lost its cheer. What do you need my forgiveness for? Rosa looked up at Gildermead. His eyes lacked the gentle glint they usually had. It was such a subtle change. Something felt rather than observed. Okay. She thought he would reprimand her further. His face certainly looked like it. So instead, Instead, he sat down beside Rosa, drumming his fingers on his cheek while he watched her wordlessly. I'm trying to get my words to work for me right now. Well? Weren't you going to read? What was wrong with him today? He didn't really seem like himself. Had he eaten something bad? The aura he exuded was not his usual friendly warmth. Yet, it was particularly wicked. The look on his face just read slightly and eternally miffed. Rosa turned the book upright and read the words out loud. Once, that is the U with the short sound. It is pronounced like this. Gildermead made the sound, his face still in his lazy stare. Rosa nodded and continued. Her nerves were frazzled, but she was actually at ease in his presence. She felt like a child being taught by their parent. The parent was strict, but still caring. And the child was jumpy and eager to learn and please. Most of all, he would not hurt her for her mistakes. Rosa was almost sure. Lived. The past tense of live. Oh, nice. Why do we change it? It is a rule of grammar that... Grammar? Gildermead narrowed his eyes at her. Do you even know your alphabet? Rosa shook her head. You should start there. Gildermead rose from his chair and disappeared amongst the shelves. He left behind an old, thick book covered in green felt. This was what he had been writing in earlier. It looked tattered and worn. The pages lay flat on his side, so that the book didn't close properly. Rosa reached out to peek at the covers when, "You are not to touch that." Rosa's whole body froze at the sound of Gildermead's warning. Gildermead's stare followed her even as she whispered numerous apologies under her breath. "I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry." Gildermead just rolled his eyes. "You are always seeking forgiveness for everything." "Am I? I'm His hand struck the table in front of Rosa. In the quiet library, the sound rang uncomfortably in her ear. When she looks up, Gildermead's face was looming severely above hers. He moved closer to her, his eyes fixed on her immensely. Rosa's mouth hung open. She struggled to say something, but her wits were like the burning ends of a matchstick. Before she could compose herself, she felt Gildermead's hand lift her chin. Rosa's heart thumped loudly in her chest. "Please don't. Not you too." She felt his breath on her face, and her heart sank into despair. Mother's voice resounded in her head. "In the end, they are all the same. He is like everyone else." She shut her eye and prepared herself for the worst, like she always did then she felt her face being turned from side to side. She opened her eye to see Gildermead is studying her face like a textbook. "You are a fairly attractive girl. Why do you carry yourself as if it is a slight?" He lifted the hair that hid her damaged eye. Rosa clenched her teeth. Is it because you were hurt before?" He said it so matter-of-factly, like he was stating the sky was blue. Rosa recoiled from his touch. No. I did that to myself. I wasn't talking about your eye." He placed a book on the table. It was a thin pamphlet filled with letters. They were lines on the book that instructed the user to trace letters with their quill. Rosa wanted to focus on it, but she could feel the truth in the Marquise's words stinging her. "It was the way you went limp when I touched you. Next time, I advise you to fight back. If you don't want to be touched, then you don't have to be. Do you understand this?" "But I am weak." "Says who?" "Says you, obviously." His eyes were humorless. "The world cares not for people who think of themselves as victims, Rosa. If you need power, then be powerful. To have it, it is necessary to crush things along the way." Rosa flinched under the weight of his stare. She realized that the polite and courteous Gildermead was but a facet. It was still him, but it was nothing but an oil portrait in the artwork of his devising. Synthetic, aloof, and irrelevant. It couldn't capture the essence of it in a few human strokes. Suddenly, Rosa realized that he was powerful. "Who are you?" she caught herself before saying it aloud. "You are not Gildermead." And yet, he spoke to her as if he knew what it was like to hurt and to fear. "If you don't start acting like you own yourself, then people will not hesitate to take everything." He laid the rest of the books that he had brought out. One was an activity book for children. It had a picture of a child holding an apple with a few arrows stuck into it. Another was a book of limericks. The other two were thicker books that intimidated her. She would come to know them as Hamlet and Paradise Lost. But the one that caught her eye was an ornately designed book. It had a beautiful red jacket, and delicate gold trimmings lining the corners. The gods and goddesses of Roman mythology. This would be her favorite book, her treasure, and she knew it like love at first sight. These books are yours. Take them with you. Read the thin ones first, and gradually build your vocabulary with the thicker ones. Rosa ran her hands over the skin of the red book. She opened the book gingerly, as if carefully unwrapping a present. Thank you. No thanks needed. I simply showed you some books from a portion of the library you were unaware of. You are still so generous, even if you are like this. Like what? That. What? Somewhat irritable. Gildermead didn't reply, leaving an awkward silence lingering between them. Then he gave a giant laugh that made Rosa jump out of her skin. Ah ha ha ha! I do look damn irritable, don't I? Why? Is it because of Emily? Gildermead's eyes drifted away. Hey, don't make assumptions about his feelings. That's the first thing you don't do. No. I've always been... You just pointed it out. But you are not usually like this. Especially when Catherine and the townspeople and... I find it easy to adapt to people, especially to the ones I like. Gildermead looked at Rosa as if he had just become aware of her presence. Makes me wonder why I'm so stern with you. I'm sorry. Rosa shook her head. I somehow prefer this side of you. Gildermead cocked his head to the side. He brought out the green book that Rosa noticed earlier. This is called a journal. When you learn to write, start one. What is it? Something you can use to remember yourself when you've forgotten. Does it work? It used to. Nowadays, not anymore. Oh. The act itself is the only thing I remember. Now, let's start with your vowels. A scream pierced the halls of the tattoo. It was Catherine! Gildermead sprinted to the door, with Rosa not far behind. Jesus. Okay, we're in this. Something's happening. Back in the piano room, Catherine took a shaky step towards her sister. She wasn't moving at all. Blood dotted the ivory keys. Catherine, I didn't... It was an accident. Emily? She was overcome with the urge to approach her sister and shake her awake. Make sure she was okay, but it was a nasty fall. Amelie, I don't know. Catherine saw the way her sister's head snapped back as if it collided with the sharp corner of the piano. She watched it all like a series of photographs in her head. She had to check on her, but her feet refused to move. Instead, she began to retreat into a corner. Her eyes are different now, and she didn't even notice her legs were moving until her forehead touched the wall. She didn't want to turn around. Her sister was on the floor. Her eyes were still open, unblinking. It was an accident. It was nothing but an accident. Was it? Oh no. She pushed first. She got really scary. She strangled me. Yeah, it was self-defense. What? That's absurd. Are you sure? Would she do that? I don't know. I think she did. Catherine touched her throat. It felt fine. that pariah girl, Emily, is it? She really believes, just because the Marquis took her in, that he's interested in her. Well, she's obsessed with the master. The apple doesn't fall far from the tree. Wasn't her mother a bit, you know, not right in the head? Oh god. It probably runs in the family. Emily had looked mad. Her eyes had burned with malice for her as she had closed her fingers around Catherine's neck. But she couldn't remember if that had really happened. Sister was always kind to her. She would never hurt her, even when they got into fights. Sister loved her. Oh no, don't tell me that her sister became the voice in Catherine's head like the mother is the voice in Rosa's head. No. Sister loved her. Am I turning mad? I have the blood of a madwoman. Am I going to end up like her? I only told her the truth. Gildermead doesn't care for her. And she doesn't even care for him that much either. It was all just chaff, their relationship. No sense trying to make everyone else miserable too. But she called me jealous and a clunt. And she never has called me a clunt. Collect. I put the L in front of it, so you can't get me, YouTube. Don't you dare. Or be aware, I don't know. Anyway, she said that they have decided to send me away. My lessons sent home. My piano replaced. It was for my own good, she said. I don't have to travel here all the time. I can concentrate on my other endeavors. I can make new friends. But I know she doesn't want me near the chateau or Gildermead. She hates it when I catch her with him. Perhaps this moment was the last straw. She hates it, but she also smirks at me when I see them. Like she basks in it. I think I might hate her. Catherine's thoughts ran through her head like a storm. They poured out of her aimlessly. I wonder if the piano is broken. Am I going to pay for it? What will become of us without sister's wages? What of father's medicine? What of my dreams? Sister can't be dead. Sister can't be dead. Catherine brought her fingers to her lips and nibbled on her thumb. She didn't notice this. Her mind was preoccupied. She was in her corner of the wall, biting her fingers. It was a tiny comfort in a rapidly collapsing world. Gildermead opened the door and found Emily lying on the floor. An ugly gash broke the skin of her forehead. Facing the wall was Catherine, shivering like a leaf and viciously devouring one of her fingernails. He approached her cautiously. Catherine. Rosa was out of breath, but she was still able to let out a gasp at the scene. Amelia's lifeless eyes stared up at nothing while Catherine pressed herself into a corner. What has happened here after she had left? Rosa, will you call for help, please? See, there's someone checked on Amelia. Rosa did as she was told, but what she really wanted to do was hug Catherine herself. Gildermead took a small step towards her. He called out her name, slowly coaxing. Catherine turned her head, a thumb still in her lower lip. The flesh was torn and a smudge of scarlet painted her teeth. It was an accident, I swear. Of course it was, Catherine, of course it was. She pushed me first. She wanted me sent away. She wanted me gone. You can tell me about it later. Let me take you away from this room. What have I done? Catherine fell to her knees and wept. Large sobs sucked the air out of her. She felt like drowning, trying to keep herself afloat in between her sobs. Every exhale was a squeezing pain in her lungs. She felt Gildermead's arms wrap around her. "What have I done? What have I done? You didn't do anything, ma chérie." "This is not your fault." There was a bitter bulge building up in her throat, and she felt that no amount of crying would push it back out. "What am I going to do? Father is... Sister... I am so scared." Gildermead's arms wound tighter around her, and she clutched into his warmth in the vast sea of fear. "You don't have to be. I will always be by your side, Catherine. I will take care of you and your father, all right? You don't have to worry about your future." Her tears soaked into his shirt, though, but the squeezing in her chest felt less painful. Why do you do this? Why do you care so much for me?" Gildermead's brows furrowed, as if confused that she even asked. "I just do." It was a boldly stated fact, as if painfully obvious, as if Catherine was a fool for not knowing it. It made Catherine's heart expand into her ribs. When she looked back, she would recall this as the moment she fell in love with him. Oh my God. She looked in his eyes and was reassured and strong. She wasn't alone, and she was going to be alright. "Let's get you away from here." So, when people look into his eyes, they fall madly in love with him, and perhaps it's a curse, but that he has, that when people look into his eyes, they fall in love with him, because Amelie didn't like him very much when we first saw him, but then when she started drawing into him and being attracted to him, then she went crazy, it seems. And now Catherine is being gripped a hold of his stuff too. And perhaps he is different around Rosa, because Rosa is probably one of the only people not casted down into this spell that he has. This love spell. He is Cupid. Or in some sick, twisted way, a Cupid. And he makes people fall in love with him and mad for him. And that's why all of his relationships ended in madness, because they fell madly in love with him. That is my theory about this game now. Again, I don't know, but that's what I'm thinking at the moment. Let's get you away from here. Sorry, I went on a tangent. I think it's interesting. An interesting thing. He supported her arms and stood her up, careful to block the view of her sister from her eyes. But Rosa still likes him too, but not in a maddeningly loving way. Like, she didn't fall in love immediately. She just likes him and appreciates him for what he does, I think. I don't know if she has romantic feelings towards him too. Perhaps she is already mad enough that the madness that he casts upon her is not enough to overtake. She has her wits about her, and her mother keeps her in a pivoting check, a pivoting point, you know? It's interesting. I want to explore into the relationships further, honestly. And again, I went on a tangent. He led her to the door. Catherine hated how fast her relief came. She was still drenched in sorrow at her sister's blood. Her father would not take well to the news, especially in his health. But she was all right, and she hated it. Rosa was with her. She didn't have to leave her piano. Her dreams, him, nothing had to change. And most importantly, she hated the voice that came whispering in her head over and over again. "Thank goodness she's dead. Thank goodness." Oh, well, that sucks. Oh? The first candle was lit. This candle is storage. The love for familiars. The cleanest love. Rosa stared at the blue candle glowing in her hand as she chanted her spell. Trust is the veil that conceals and deceives. Trick his eyes and his heart with the warmth from this candle's flame. A bond of blood like kin will be forged. Weave this trust so his tongue will yield to what is sought. Oh, I love this. I love this, how this is written. This whole story, how it's written, is absolutely amazing. And I bet we're on chapter 3 now, right? Oh, no? Okay. We're in the graveyard. Rosa stood by Catherine's grave, nursing memories of her. The soft wind lightly blew her hair. We had one option in this. It reminded her of Catherine and her playful ways. Tears spouting from her eyes, even the wind. Console her. I'm always here, my love. Loss will always hurt. But you love Mother the best, don't you? Yes, Mother. Then you are going to be fine. I will never leave you like Catherine did. So we're back in the present where Catherine's dead. And that was a flashback. Interesting. Rosa. Gilderming's soft voice came from behind. Rosa glanced at him in acknowledgement. He stood quietly beside her for a few moments but ventured to speak. Have you thought about my offer? My house is always open for you, remember that. I love this dress she's in, it's pretty. I'm sorry for my outburst back then. It's nothing. The wind played around their feet, and Rosa pictured Catherine as part of the breeze, playful and free. She was free from the pain and confusion that had plagued her in the last days. They stood beside each other in a solemn reverence. Finally, Rosa broke the silence. She was my family. I was in pain before she came along. I didn't know any better. She gave me hope. She was bright like a flame. When I close my eyes, I can see the imprint of her light in the darkness. I can feel her warmth, a star. They didn't speak again for some time. Gildermead cleared his throat. I was an orphan too, much like you. I know what it feels like to lose too much. I wandered for a long time before I found anything to live for. Were you alone? Sometimes, always. Rosa nodded. Did you have a family? Gildermead shifted uncomfortably. No, they left me behind. I never knew them. Much of my memory of it is blurred. I was taken in by kind people once before, but Gildermead sighed and Rosa observed a certain disquiet in him. I didn't belong. But you have no difficulty in mingling with these people. I think of that as a necessity rather than a preference. But either way, it can be quite tiresome after a while. Things don't last. I don't know why I'm telling you this. I am making the mood worse. I'm sorry. I don't mind. Gildermead had never opened up to her about his past before, and it worried Rosa how little she actually knew about him. Anyway, would you like to go around town? I'd very much like to take you some places more cheery. How about our favorite spot? Gildermead smiled with understanding. Oh, that's such pretty imagery! Oh, I love it! The pair traveled up the hill to the edge of the town. Their The view overlooked the quaint village. The sunset painted everything in pink, in the pink glow of dusk, of endings. It is always so beautiful here. They used to spend time in the grassy knoll, and the three of them. It was their own little highway. Memories of the past crept up on every corner, the ghost of laughter, oof, echoed in the wind. Rosa touched the trunk of the small tree they had carved their names on. So many fond memories. Rosa, I want you to have this. Gildermy took Rosa's hand and placed an item in her palm. It was a simple silver locket. She looked up at him questioningly. I have had that for as long as I can remember. One of my only remembrances of the past. I can take this. I can't take this. Dang, no. I cannot take this. You must. You must take it. I'm sorry, that's weird. I mean, I would say the same thing, but I don't know why this is funny right now. You need it more than I do. You need it more than I do. But it's old, and the locket doesn't even open anymore. I don't know why I've held on to it for so long. I can't even remember how I came to have it, but it comforts me. Maybe it will have the same effect for you. This is your treasure, Gildermean. It feels wrong to take it. Oh, on the contrary, I believe you must have it. Call it a hunch or a feeling, an urge on my part. I am not good with expressing sorrow or even giving comfort, but I want to do something at least. For you. He closed his hand over hers, affirming the gift. It's yours. Please take it. If you are wrong, if you think I'm letting you stay in the castle simply for Catherine's sake, I do it of my own accord. Let me do this for you, Rosa. We have been friends for quite a while. If you need to leave, at least stay until you are feeling ready to go. All right. But I will continue working in your household for my lodging. You don't have to do that. I can raise your status to a lady. You can read and write now, and very well. I'm sure you will be more comfortable in a higher position. I have no need for a higher position. Just feel free to access your library. You have come a long way from a shy girl back then, Rosa. Watching you grow has been a pleasure. Quit looking at me, damn it! I know you're supposed to be looking at each other. Please do that, not at me. Your staring is making me uncomfortable. Thank you. I don't know why it's what's with this game, but their eyes stare into me, into my very soul, into my very being, and it makes me uncomfortable. Yes, the library is yours. I just gotta read these words and not look at it. They are quiet for a while, only conversing through looks, smiles, and little tiny sighs. Rosa realized that she had been holding on to Gildermead's hand all that time. She broke off from his hold, rather embarrassed. We should head back. You're right, it is getting quite late. Gildermead walked over to the carriage to get it ready. Excellent child. Being a maid in his household will give you the free access to the rooms. He trusts you completely. It seems that the candle worked. I guess so. Rosa looked at the silver necklace in her hand. She fiddled with it, trying to open the lock. If I open it, it might break it. I'm gonna leave it alone. I loathe that thing. I don't wish to accept any gift from that man. I wish you hadn't taken it. In any case, just leave it alone. Yes, mother. Rosa slipped the necklace into her coat's pocket. Oh, I felt like that was the wrong option now. I want to see what happens if she tries to open it now, and I might actually go back for that. The spell will start its effects in stages, gradually uncovering his true face. Fondness first, then trust. Familiarity. Rosa sighed. But was the spell necessary at all? Didn't she already have that with Gildermead? Rosa bit her lip, remembering the warmth of his hand. They had known each other for such a long time. It was rather comforting to have someone to mourn with. However, Rosa did find it strange that Gildermead rarely ever even mentioned Catherine anymore. It was as if he was shedding her off like skin. Oh no, he's just grieving in his own way, and sometimes when people don't talk about the people they're grieving about, it helps them not think about them and pushes those emotions to the side. I know, because I felt that. Again, the taste of blood in her throat resurfaced. The memory of the needles made her stomach lurch. Since her friend had died, the Marquis had begun spending all his hours locked in his office, depressed. He barely showed himself socially, rather even attended meals. But they were casting a powerful spell, something that might harm Gildermead. What if he was right after all, innocent? She had years of good memories with him. What was she even expecting to find out? Exactly how could she live with the guilt of two dead friends? Rosa sighed. She cared for him. Despite all the suspicions, she knew that much. But Mother was adamant. 3 candles for 3 lovers. A fitting curse for a man who frolics in love's domain. Storge, the love for familiars. Phila, the love for friends. And Eros, the love for lust. Open his heart with Storge, unmask him with Phila, strike him down with Eros. But Rosa kept a 4th candle. One she had named Agape, unconditional love. She didn't know whether she would be able to use it. Mother, of course, would object. But just in case Eros successfully struck Gildermead, she wished to light Agape. Maybe she is Cupid. That's why she has all the magical powers and stuff. Or the witchcraftery, or whatever she's doing. She's Cupid. And she's doing the love stuff. I don't know. At least give him peace before Rosa walked towards Gildermead, a pang of anxiousness biting at her. Rise, my daughter. The work lays ahead. To bring him down, we must first find its weakness, then we attack. Revenge will be sweet, my dear daughter. Do it for Mother. No. No, I don't want to. I actually don't. Alright, Chapter 4, Metamorphosis. Alright, let me save. I'm gonna save now. Then we're gonna leave this. Alright. Cool. Love it. Love the flashback. We have a locket now. We have acquired an item. We know a little bit more about the spell that she's casting. Yes. We know a little bit more about the but I kind of already knew he had a troubled past. I guess it's nice to know that he was, what exactly that was. I thought it was an abusive family, rather than a family that leaves you. But then again, he said he was taken in by people who cared for him but didn't belong. That might be it, too. I don't know quite yet, obviously. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this so far, as I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying the story. I'm enjoying, basically, the art and everything about it, because that background was absolutely gorgeous, and I love that so much. Yeah. thank you guys and gals, and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.